Hello, welcome one and all to another edition of the Cory Sanning Show. This is a little edition of Cory After Dark, I should say, given the fact that we weren't able to go live yesterday in our usual scheduled programming. But boy, I think I got a show for you today because we're going to dive into some long-standing topics that have been on the forefront of my mind for quite some time. And honestly, it's something that I've really wanted to get my thoughts on, despite the fact that it's so far in the rear view. And you might as well notice that my one vice in my hand is my cigar. Maybe a little bit like Ocho on Nightcap in that regard. Probably ain't as cool and as popular. Definitely don't have the footwork, but here I am. Little edition of Cory After Dark. And the best thing about this episode is that it's going to be completely unfiltered as I itch my shoulder a little bit. We're not leaving anything uncut, anything unfiltered. We're going to cuss if we want to, and I don't give a damn what YouTube says because at the same time, I have enough subscribers, but they say I don't have enough viewing hours to get to monetize. So fuck it. We're going to go live and we're going to say what we want to say. So we've got a plethora of topics today. We're going to react to the facilities take on whether Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson will win a ring first. I think you can guess where we're going to go on that one. We're going to ask ourselves the question that I think needs to be asked. Does the NFL cater to Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills? You're going to love to hear my take on that one. And then, of course, we're going to react to Skip Bayless's take on the NBA GOAT debate versus a plethora of 25 NBA fans. I've been loving these videos. I've been watching all of them, the Lamar haters, the Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark video, even though it's more so focused on Angel Reese's, I guess I should say, contribution to the rise of women's basketball, but they're great to watch. And I really definitely recommend that you check them out on House of Highlights. But we'll get into some other topics. To Tennessee, Josh Pate goes on and makes a bold take saying it is the toughest place to play in college football. We'll react to that, given my experience covering Tennessee for more than 6 years, and we'll dive into that topic. But first and foremost, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the sponsor of today's video, and that is the Knox Fit Fest. While I don't have much to show you right now, just because we're in the final stages of finalizing our collaboration, this Saturday at Kern's Food Hall in South Knoxville, go and join Knox Fit Fest and join a plethora of local vendors, local fitness influencers, local fitness gurus, as we go into Kern's Food Hall and we just have a good time and we talk about the best thing in the world, which is staying in shape and staying fit. They'd probably be ashamed of me smoking the cigar right now, but it's my one vice, and I think we all have it. Pardon me as I take a hit of the stogie. But we're going to get right into it. So the facility has been known for this topic ever since its conception, it seems like, because Emmanuel Acho definitely had a part in Lamar Jackson not taking home his third MVP, which he should have. And he went on various primetime shows. He went on one of my personal favorite podcasts, The Vault, which if you haven't checked out The Vault and you're a Ravens fan, definitely recommend you do because it's great content there by Bobby Trossett and Sarah Ellison. Basically said that Lamar Jackson was the baddest you-know-what on a football field last year. He was the best player by far, but he had to go to the AP and ask them, even though he had to vote for a year, on how to vote for the award. And the league practically defined how they voted the award to give Josh Allen an MVP that he really did not deserve. So we're going to get into this first topic. It's coming into an offseason. Of course, it's the dog days of the offseason, so we don't really have much to talk about. What are we going to be debating for the next 3 months? Who's going to win a ring first? Josh Allen or Lamar? Patrick Mahomes already has 3 and 5 appearances. He's an anomaly. He's on another level. Jalen Hurts now has a Super Bowl ring, first in 2 appearances, and both Super Bowl appearances he's played astoundingly well. So this is what James Jones and Emmanuel Acho had to say on the facility the other day regarding who's going to win a ring first, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. Take a listen, and we will respond.
Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. Don't be in too much turmoil.
I'm going to go Lamar. And I'm going to go Lamar strictly because I believe Lamar has the better team. Mm-hmm. And I think Lamar has had the better teams. And at one point, I think the Lamar Jackson from the regular season, the MVP Lamar Jackson is going to show up consistently in these playoffs. And if he does, I think they beat down teams in the playoffs. I'm still waiting on that guy from the regular season to show up consistently in the playoffs. But when he does, they're going to beat people down, and I think he gets to that game. But his team is just so much better than Josh Allen's team, and I'm going to say he elevates his game this season in the playoffs and gets his team to that Super Bowl, I'm a rock with Lamar. But this is very, very, very close.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. You know what gets me in the most trouble on television
What's
is
that?
I don't cater my takes to friends. I don't cater my takes to a community, one way or the other. I just look at facts. I look at numbers. I look at stats. I look at film, and I give y'all the truth. If you look at the numbers of the playoffs between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Oh, don't show it, dog.
It's not close. Touchdowns, Josh Allen, 32. Turnovers, 6. Touchdowns, Lamar Jackson, 13. Giveaways, 11. Completion percentage, passer rating. These are total touchdowns, too. I'm including rushing as well. Keep in mind, 2 of Lamar Jackson's losses, so 2 of those numbers that come from the 5 column on 3 and 5, are at the helm of Josh Allen. 2 of Lamar Jackson's wins, those 2 that come at that 7 number, are due to beating Lamar Jackson. If you switch those, Lamar Jackson would have a 5-3 playoff record, and Josh Allen would have a 5-6, 5-8 playoff record. I say that to say the reason Josh Allen is better than Lamar Jackson in the playoffs is in large part because Josh Allen has beaten Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. It's not like these 2 teams have faced off separately. Josh Allen is a significantly better playoff performer than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, I believe, is a better, not significantly, is a better regular season performer than Josh Allen. So based upon all the data that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen have supplied us, it would be either ignorant or negligent to suggest that Lamar Jackson's going to win first, based on the data we know now. If James Jones has been talking to Miss Cleo and has a fortune ball, that's on Jay. But based on what we've seen, it's not close.
Okay. Lot to unpack there. First off, let me preface my comments by saying I love Emmanuel Acho. I love what he's done post-football career when he wasn't able to really carry on because of injury, because of health issues. I don't blame him for that. I'm not going to sit here and come on this show and say, oh my God, he has no room to talk because he wasn't an all-pro, an all-star, Pro Bowl caliber player. He's written many books. He's fantastic on the air. He's very articulate. I'm not going to mention that stupid Fox lawsuit because I think that has more to do with Joy Taylor than it does with him. But here's my problem with Emmanuel Acho. Emmanuel Acho is among the crowd that redefined the way the most valuable player award is voted on in the NFL. This is the first time since 1987, 9 years before I was ever even a sparkle in my parents' eye, that the first team All-Pro guy somehow didn't get the MVP. John Elway was second team All-Pro, won the MVP over the first team All-Pro quarterback Joe Montana at that time, who was clearly at that time the better player. I don't care if he had Jerry Rice, and I don't know at that point, I don't think he had Dwight Clark and, some of the other, weapons that the 49ers had. They had Ronnie Lott on defense, arguably the greatest safety, not named Ed Reed, and Troy Polamalu, but you had to go back nearly 40 years to find when this happened again, for instance. And Emmanuel Acho, who was coming into the second year of his standing as an AP All-Pro and MVP voter, admitted, and I give him credit for this, that, listen, I went to the AP and asked them, what is the criteria for voting for the MVP? Although I'd already voted for Lamar the year before when he clearly was the MVP, despite not one quarterback having a superb statistical season. You Buffalo Bills fans come on and say, oh, Josh Allen was way better. And Josh Allen turned the ball over 20 times that season and was fifth in the MVP voting. Wasn't fourth, wasn't third, wasn't second. He was fifth. He had 20 interceptions. That's an MVP. What are we talking about? 20 interceptions. That's a lot for someone who's supposed to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, which he is. So I don't know why I put air quotes around it, but I did. I'm going to answer this question right away. Lamar's going to win a ring before Josh. You want to know why? He's got the better team, and he's the better player. I don't care what the numbers said in last. Actually, the numbers speak on my side in last playoff loss with the Ravens at the Bills. Yeah, the Ravens didn't win the game. Of course, they didn't show up when it mattered most. It's been their mantra the past few years when they've had probably arguably the best roster in the NFL, was that they didn't get it done. They just played out of character when it mattered most. Lamar had 2 turnovers in that first half. Okay. inexcusable. Particularly the fumble, the interception. You can go. I mean, Bateman ran the wrong route. He didn't look off the safety. We can argue that all day. At least the Bills didn't score off that turnover. That fumble, the Ravens were driving to take the lead, and it set up the Bills in scoring range right off the bat. And if it wasn't for Justice Hill making a great tackle, Von Miller might have scored on that play. But Josh Allen threw for 125 yards, had a passer rating of 82 in that game. Lamar had a passer rating of over 100. Would played phenomenally, played perfect in the second half. If it wasn't for a fumble and a drop by Mark Andrews, we would be having a whole different discussion right now. Now, would that mean that they would have automatically have beaten the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game? No. Patrick Mahomes, despite his decreasing level of play the past few years, takes care of the ball and makes the plays when it matters most. And the Ravens do not, unfortunately. But there's one point in his NBA career that LeBron James was 0-2 in the finals and had a reputation, at least from the casual fan, of being a playoff choke artist. I read articles after that 2011 finals, that said why LeBron James, it was on multiple websites, it wasn't by the same writer either, why he'll never win a title. And he was going into year 9. But we're sitting here saying, okay, Lamar struggled. Peyton Manning struggled in this. He didn't win a ring until year 8 or 9. And Peyton Manning's regarded as easily a top 5 quarterback all time, and rightfully so. Nobody was more surgical slicing up defenses than Peyton Manning. Still only won 2 rings. One of them was on the back of a great defense. The other one with the Colts, he threw more interceptions than touchdowns in that playoff run. So you could argue it was on the back of the defense and great playmakers that he had around him, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne. We can get into it. No one holds that against Peyton Manning. They just say, okay, I mean, because of that, he's not the greatest, but he's still number 3, 4 in the all-time rankings. Honestly, for me, it's Brady, Mahomes, Montana, and then I got Peyton at 4, but some people put Peyton above Montana just because of individual talent. So we look at this AFC Championship game, though, and Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills they put forth a valiant effort, but then again, with 3+ minutes to go, down by 3 against a defense, although be it very good, with a very good coordinator in Spags, Josh Allen had the ball with the 2-minute warning with timeouts to get his team down the field and in scoring range, at least to tie the game, more than likely take the lead, and he couldn't get it done. Oh, man, he made a great play on that 4th down throw to Dawson Knox. He just dropped it. But the narrative the previous week was that, Lamar made that play. Chris Sims, even though I love Chris Sims, Lamar made it as hard as possible despite the ball hitting Andrews between the 8 and the 9. What are we talking about here? The Bills do not have the better team. They didn't outplay the Ravens in that game. And I hate that because this is such a cliche saying, and it makes me sound like I'm a homer. And for a majority of my life, I'll be honest, I have been. But objectively, the Ravens were carving the Bills' defense up. That I think people look at the drop 2-point conversion. I think, in my opinion, the biggest mistake in that game, aside from Lamar's first half turnovers, which are inexcusable. I'm not making excuses for him. The Ravens, not we, because I can never step on the field with any NFL player. The Ravens have had the best roster the past 2 to 3 years, and they've fallen short, and there's no excuse for it because they should have gotten it done. But we're going to sit here and act like Josh Allen, 82 passer rating, 125 yards, playing Mr. Game Manager. He didn't turn the ball over. I'll give him credit for that. They played a sound, clean football game. But if the Ravens don't turn the ball over 3 times, that's another blowout, same as it was early in the regular season when they beat them by 25 points. The Bills are an overrated team that plays in the weakest division in football. It was like that when Tom Brady was with the Patriots, and it's like that now. It's even worse now because Tom Brady, at least they were winning Super Bowls and beating good competition to get there. But neither here nor there. I mean, look at the Ravens this year. If you go out on top of the roster that you had last year, and you had DeAndre Hopkins as wide receiver 3. I don't want to hear about age because he's wide receiver 3. Behind Zay Flowers, who's a Pro Bowler. Behind Rashad Bateman, who had 750 yards and 9 touchdowns in the regular season, had a breakout season as wide receiver 2. And then Bleacher Report wants to go on and say he's overpaid for $36.5 million over 3 years. Get out of here with that. But Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell getting back healthy. Then you have the best tight end group in the NFL and Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. They might not even need to go to DeAndre Hopkins, but he's there if they need him. He's there if Lamar needs him. If Derrick Henry and him can't get that read option going, which, as you saw by the film last year, usually happens. Then you go to the defensive side. Yeah, they struggled in the pass defense for the first half of the year last year, but they fixed it because they got rid of Marcus Williams, Eddie Jackson, inserted Ardarius Washington. Now, he likely will not be back this season because he tore his Achilles a few weeks ago, and that's a hard injury to come back from in a short period of time. But they drafted the best safety in the draft in Malachi Starks from Georgia, who I would know a lot about being a Tennessee grad and fan, to pair with Kyle Hamilton, who's the best safety in football by far. And then you add Jair Alexander as potentially your third best cornerback. And yeah, he hasn't been healthy the past 2 years, but when he's healthy, he's a top 2 to 3 cornerback in the NFL. And they got him for $4 million, possibly up to $6 million. You put Jair Alexander on the outside to go with Nate Wiggins, who's going to be an all-pro sooner than later. And then you let Marlon Humphrey, who was a first-team all-pro last year, play in the slot where he's best at. And then you got Chidobe Awuzie coming off, who's one of the better tight coverage cornerbacks on the outside too, and can play in the slot. To go with Roquan Smith, who's 1A, 1B with Fred Warner, is the best linebacker in all of football. I'd defer to Fred Warner, but he was pretty limpered last year. So Roquan Smith comes back in shape. He was out of shape a lot of last year. I think my friend Christian and I had many conversations about that. To go with Nnamdi Madubuike, who's a first-team All-Pro and All-Pro player on the defensive line. Travis Jones, who's a man-child. Kyle Van Noy. Dafe Owe, who put on 20 pounds of muscle this offseason. Mike Green comes in as a second-round pick, and he led the FBS in all of college football in sacks last year. What are we talking about here? The Ravens don't get it done again. It's because they didn't rise to the occasion when it matters most. So if you sit here and say Josh Allen's going to win a ring before Lamar, you're just kidding yourself, and you probably live in Buffalo, who honestly is a city of losers. Who makes it to 4 straight Super Bowls and can't win one? Can't win one. Scott Norwood. Then you get blown out the rest 3 by Doug Williams, the Cowboys, and by the 49ers. So we aren't even going to get into that. We're going to get into our next topic, which is a topic that I've been waiting to talk about for a very long time, and then we'll get to some comments. I see that we have some. Does the NFL cater to Josh Allen? Hell yes, the NFL caters to Josh Allen, and I'm sick of it, and I'm sick of the national media not calling it out. Josh Allen came in the same draft as Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen has been a turnover machine outside of this past season, his entirety of his career. Excuse me. You remember that 13-second game in the divisional round against the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the best games. Josh Allen played phenomenal in that game. I'm not taking anything from him. But do you remember, I believe it was the year or two prior, when the Patrick Mahomes' first year as a starter threw 50 touchdowns, the Chiefs were the 1 seed, and they hosted the Patriots in the AFC title game, and the Patriots got the ball first in overtime and marched down the field and won the game because the Chiefs' defense at that point was horrendous. And, of course, they call back an interception, but we won't get into that because that's just a Tom Brady thing. The Chiefs went to the NFL and proposed that they change the rules in overtime so that each team can possess the ball first. Everyone sits here nowadays and says, the Chiefs are the golden child of the NFL. They do anything for the Chiefs. Guess what they told them? No. And I think it was a pretty hefty favor in no compared to one in terms of the votes at the owners' meetings that year. What happens when Josh Allen's defense gives up a game-time field goal in 13 seconds, and that's not a slide against him, and then the Chiefs get the ball first in overtime and march down the field and win the game, and they go on to the AFC Championship game? What happened that offseason? The Bills went to the NFL and proposed a rule change. Guess what they did? They changed the rules for the Buffalo Bills. That offseason, Josh Allen was supposed to be the MVP. Man, he's arrived. He's the best quarterback in football. He was on the cover of Madden. The Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. And they don't get it done. Even the year prior to that 13-second game, the Bills were in the AFC title game. They beat the Ravens in the divisional round, not because of Josh Allen, because of a 100-yard pick six by his defense. The Bills scored 17 points. The Ravens only scored 3. I'm not sticking up for them. But people act like he played tremendous in that AFC title game. Josh Allen has beaten Skylar Thompson. He's beaten who else? He's beaten Lamar twice, which I give him credit for that, even though he wasn't responsible for either victory. He's beaten Skylar Thompson. He's beaten backup quarterback after backup quarterback, and he's never won a road playoff game yet. No one talks about that. And I think I know why, but I'm not going to sit here and say that because I'm not going to get flagged by YouTube for promoting hate speech. Fast forward to this year. 2 instances happened when the league catered to Josh Allen. Not only did they change the NFL MVP vote so he could win it, let's just get into the numbers here in the regular season. Josh Allen this regular season, I hate that I'm pulling up the numbers on my phone. Josh Allen passed for 3,731 yards. That was 14th in the NFL. He wasn't even top 10. Passed for 28 touchdowns. He was tied for 7th. He wasn't even top 5. 6 interceptions. That's fantastic. All the credit, golf clap in the world to Josh Allen for finally not turning the ball over a ton. And he was 77.3 in QBR because he had a ton of tush-push touchdowns that James Cook could have had and been a all-pro, I believe. He may have been an all-pro running back. But Josh Allen was clearing away the second-team all-pro. Lamar Jackson passed for 4,100 yards, 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, rushed for over 800 yards, and was first in QBR in the NFL. Lamar Jackson, there's one quarterback in NFL history that has passed for over 40 touchdowns and below 5 interceptions in a single season. That's number 8 on the Baltimore Ravens. But yet, you have Tony Romo going on with, I don't know how many games left in the regular season on CBS, talking about, oh, you feel bad because Josh doesn't have one. No, you don't. This is professional sports. This isn't 5th grade soccer to where we play to have fun and we don't play to win, which is still another topic we'll get into another day that I do not agree with. This is professional sports. It's not a charity event. Oh, does Lamar really need 3? As so many people on X/Twitter said. If he earns it, hell yeah, he deserves 3. And he did earn it. What are we talking about here? Then you have Emmanuel Acho, who voted Lamar first-team All-Pro, but voted Josh Allen MVP. Tony Romo the same. Then you had a writer for The Athletic, I don't remember what her name was, but literally wrote an article saying she felt sorry for Josh Allen. You feel sorry for this guy that's making all this money and is on a perennial playoff contender in the weakest division in football and literally has everything handed on a silver platter like an Italian pizza server by the NFL every single season? And then let's get into the AFC Championship game. The Bills lost. The Chiefs were the better team, clearly. I mean, it was a close game, but I think if that Mahomes fumble doesn't happen, it's not that close. What does the NFL do? Remember that 4th down conversion that so many people on X was like, oh, look at him. His body's in front of the goal line, but then you reverse the camera angle and the ball's not in front of it. It wasn't a first down. Now they're going to introduce electronic measuring in games because the Buffalo Bills didn't get the benefit of a call. How do you all not see this? But you sit here and bash on Lamar for not making it a Super Bowl. Yeah, he's come up short. LeBron James, second greatest, some people's eyes, the greatest basketball player ever, had plenty of epic playoff failures before he broke through. Acho goes on there and says, oh, because he's 3-5 and he's had these bad playoff numbers, that means he won't ever do it. And then you have videos where you're like, yeah, well, you compared it to, oh, that's basketball. Same premise. Superstar athletes who are physically that much better than the competition. LeBron is that much better than every player in the NBA for I don't know how many years. Lamar Jackson is physically more gifted than any player in the NFL, and it's been like that since he came into the league. There's not a better all-around football player that can do it all, that can make professional athletes look like schoolyard boys. Sam Hubbard. I could even get into it. Matt Milano. there's so many more that he's made look silly, just absolutely silly on a football field. He makes it look like it's NFL blitz out there, but yet we're sitting here saying, oh, he's not going to win a ring before Josh because Josh is just some savior that's been sent down from the heavens. I don't buy it, and I never will. I'm sorry. This is, I mean, yeah, you can sit there and call me biased all you want. Fine, go ahead. I am a Ravens fan. I'll admit that. I've supported the team through thick and thin for over 12, 15 years now. But objectively speaking, I did cover sports for 6 years as a reporter. I know how to look at it straight down the line objective. I went to Tennessee. I was taught by my bosses at the school paper, you cannot show any favoritism in that press box because Tennessee will kick you out. I think I was the most objective Tennessee student reporter that's ever came across that newsroom or that press box, heaven forbid, because I saw some people cheering and that's to their own, that's them. You work for the team, that means something, but looks like my cigar went out, so I'm going to finish that later. But we're going to get into some viewer comments. Looks like we got quite a few. I do appreciate you all that have tuned in on this Saturday night when you could be out doing stuff with your family and friends. We got 41 comments, so we're going to go back to the top. Late at your own show's diabolical. I had some technical issues, man. I was trying to get the camera hooked up and trying to get the lighting right. I couldn't. Josh Allen, obviously, I disproved that in a very, very short amount of time. Michael Penix is never going to win a Super Bowl as long as he's in Atlanta because who blows a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl, my guy? I was rooting for you, and I was so happy when Robert Alford picked that pass off and you all were up 28-3 going in the fourth quarter. I've never seen an epic choke like that outside of LeBron in 2011. So you go, Ben, you back that up, Study Boy, by saying he will win a ring before Lamar and Josh Allen. He won't even get to the playoffs before one of those two wins a ring. But hydro massage while watching the Cory Sang show. I really appreciate that. This is a good question. Does this remind you of when Marc Gasol was second team all defense and one DVO year of LeBron, who was first team all defense? He's referencing the 2013 season. And yeah, it does. It really does. How does a second team all defensive guy get the defensive player of the year award over first team all defense? That makes no sense. LeBron should have been MVP defensive player of the year and should have been unanimous MVP that year and finals MVP. And it would have been, it's still a top 3 season of all time, but it would have eclipsed Kareem in 71 if that had been the case. But unfortunately, we can't go back and say that. Josh Allen is more fun to watch. In what world is Josh Allen more fun to watch? You must not watch a lot of Ravens games, Jerry, and I get it. You're a Michael Vick guy. But Lamar is in a different planet. Michael Vick couldn't sniff Lamar's jock strap. And he's admitted that on national television. You just like to hate, my guy. But it makes the conversation more fun, so I get that. And we're going to go and, hey, I'm on the opposite side as you. I blame that loss 100% on Lamar. I didn't say I didn't blame it on Lamar. I'm just saying that even when he overcame the struggles instead of succumbing to them like he had in the past, 2019, 2020, those years, his teammates let him down. He played perfect in that second half. And it wasn't for Mark Andrews' fumble, they'd have taken the lead, and the Bills hadn't scored a single point except for a field goal off that Mark Andrews fumble in the second half. I just think the Ravens would have won going away, and I don't think anyone that's an objective football viewer would argue with me. But if you blame that loss on Lamar, I can't blame you because he did play poorly in the first half. City of losers, yes, very much so. City of losers. All right, Mojo Chop 777. Oh, it's a Bills fan. This is gonna be fun. I love to see that the playoffs loss still digs deep in the dumbest fan base in the league. Always crying with no facts based beyond y'all's statements. Where did I not bring up a fact in that soliloquy? I brought up plenty of facts. What are you even talking about? Of course this comes from a Bills fan, a perpetual loser. You're going to sit here and say that Josh Allen outplayed Lamar in that game despite the 2 turnovers? He threw for 120 yards. What are you talking about, my guy? It doesn't sting me. You know how many hurtful playoff losses I've been through as a sports fan, that probably maybe is top 10. I wouldn't even put it in the top 5. I'm objective. I blame Lamar. He was bad in the first half. But okay, we objectively sit here and say that Josh Allen was phenomenal in that game? And then you go to the AFC Championship game again. You had the chance to win it with 3+ minutes to go, and you didn't get it done. Again. And the league caters to you. They change rules for the Buffalo Bills. And you still can't get it done. The Ravens can't get it done either. You're right. But the league doesn't cater to the Ravens, I'll tell you that. Go to a mall in Buffalo and see how many Lamar jerseys you see there. I come to malls here in East Tennessee and I see plenty of Josh Allen jerseys. You might find one Lamar jersey and he's been 3-time first-team All-Pro. Tom Brady was 3-time first-team All-Pro in 20 seasons. Lamar's done it, and he's 1 month younger than I am. So what are you talking about, dumbest fan base in the league? I'm not even objectively defending the Ravens fan base because there are some delusional Ravens fans. I'll give you that. But dumbest fan base in the league. You guys are approaching dumbest fan base in the league with the Cincinnati Bengals fan base. The level of delusion that you all have. Oh, Lord have mercy. And he goes on to say Ravens fans are just mad that Allen actually plays good in the playoffs, unlike Lamar, who's the worst MVP playoff QB statistically in NFL history. I'll give it to you, man. He has been bad in the playoffs for the most part. I said that. I said that for years. But you have a silver platter every year for you to go to the Super Bowl and finally get it done, and you can't get it done. So do the Ravens. But it's not handed on a silver platter by the league. They didn't get it done. They didn't play their best game when it mattered the most. But neither did the Bills. You're going to sit here and say that you all sat there and say, man, our team thoroughly dominated that game. If you objectively sit here and say that, I really, really, really hardly doubt that you ever played football in your life. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. And he goes on to say, one more time, how do you not see these rules that should have always been in the league? All of these rules you're saying got changed by the Bills, the same rules the Bills got screwed by. The Chiefs got screwed by them, and you say they're the darling child of the NFL, and they didn't change the rule for them. But they changed the rule for you, and you still couldn't get it done. What are we talking about? You're sitting here saying that I'm just being this biased Ravens fan. No, I'm pointing out facts. Everything that I've said has been backed up by statistics and data and what happened. Man, what are we talking about? I don't say that Josh Allen's not a good quarterback. He is. I don't say he's not a likable guy. He is. But when you have analysts that go on national TV like this and just say, because this is what has happened, this is what won't happen, or oh, man, Josh Allen has the great playoff numbers. He beat Lamar twice, but he beat Skylar Thompson, and he's never won a road playoff game. Lamar's at least done that. Yeah, sit here and say it was Ryan Tannehill on the Titans all you want. I mean, okay, I'll give you that. But Josh Allen has had so many opportunities and still can't get it done. You're sitting here saying that he was the MVP of the league and he couldn't take his team when the Bills have been carving the Chiefs' defense up in the second half. Couldn't take them down to take the lead. And then that same fan base, you Bills fans, say that Lamar made that play to Mark Andrews on the 2-point conversion as hard as it could be, even though the ball hit him between the 8 and the 9. But then you sit there and say, oh, man, that was a valiant effort by Josh. He made it to where Dawson Knox just should have caught the ball. Should have. Yeah, he should have. Both of them should have. But Lamar outplayed Josh Allen in that game. And if you sit here and say that the Bills won because of Josh Allen, then you're just kidding yourself. They won because the Ravens turned the ball over and their defense played very good, opportune football. And I'll give you that. The Bills have capitalized in the playoffs. Josh Allen's been better in the playoffs than Lamar. I said that multiple times in the show already. But I'm sick and tired of people not pointing this out. Yeah, maybe it should have been in the league. Maybe those rule changes should have happened a long time ago, but it didn't happen for the Chiefs, who you say is the darling child of the NFL. You say that the only reason that they beat you this past season in the championship game was because the refs handed them the game, which isn't true. But yeah, all this stuff comes out when the Bills lose, and you still can't get it done despite those rule changes. But we're going to go ahead and get into the second topic. Well, actually, it's kind of the third topic. So, as many of you know, back in the day, Skip Bayless used to be one of my career templates simply because of how hard he worked to get where he was. Back then, there was a linear media, I guess, launch pad where you worked your way from local media, whether that was typically back then it was writing for a paper. Then you finally got to those networks. It doesn't really exist anymore. It's one reason why I left legacy medios, because the pay was just awful and there was no upward trajectory. That's why I came here to start my own thing. And I can sit here and reach for you and show you an entire bag. This is just even the start of it, of credentials to show you that I know what I'm talking about and I'm objective of what I'm talking about. But this is one of my favorite topics because they've now started releasing videos. And Bills fans, if you want to keep hating on me, go right ahead. It's all good fun. You'll be good this year. You'll probably be the first seed, if not the second seed, because you have such a cakewalk schedule and you got a good team. But you don't have a better team all around and on paper than the Ravens do. But Skip's take on the NBA GOAT debate, I think this is a long been studied of what he thinks of LeBron compared to Michael Jordan. He's got LeBron 9th on his all-time list, which I do not agree with. And I think he gives LeBron a little too much slight in some of these instances that he brings up to discredit his GOAT case. But we're going to watch it right here, and then we're going to respond. This is I believe this is one NBA analyst versus 25 NBA fans, and these fans brought their A game, and we're going to sit here and watch them and respond to this one right here.
When you go 6-0 with 6 MVPs in the finals versus 4 and 6 in the finals for LeBron, and Ray Allen saved LeBron a loss there because LeBron had completely self-destructed in Game 6 of that 2013 finals. And then if Kyrie, when nobody can buy a shot, if Kyrie hadn't hit the shot of shots in Game 7 at Oracle, LeBron could be 2-8 in the finals. So we're talking about winning. I say it all the time. LeBron is still, to this moment, the best passer in basketball. I say it all the time. LeBron is still the greatest driver of the basketball I ever saw, to a fault, because he's a poor jump shooter, a poor three-point shooter by star standards, or certainly by superstar standards. And he's a poor free throw shooter by superstar standards. He should have 5,000 more points, but he's such a worse shooter than Jordan ever was as a jump shooter and a free throw shooter that it's hard for me to say, how can you call LeBron the GOAT when he's a lousy shooter?
Part of the argument to what you said is everything you just said is wrong. So if you look at true shooting percentage, which takes into account all the offense, all the scoring, who had the better true shooting percentage in his NBA career in the regular season? LeBron James. Who had the better true shooting percentage in the playoffs? LeBron James. And you just said Michael Jordan won a lot better. So starting 1-9 in the playoffs in his career doesn't count, just doesn't matter. Okay. Or losing to the Pistons over and over again because he was so dominated by any level of physicality because he was soft. So that does not count. That doesn't matter.
Wait, did you just call Michael Jordan soft?
Compared to LeBron James?
He was the baddest you-know-what who ever stepped on a basketball court. Trust me, I was there. Not like LeBron?
Not like LeBron.
LeBron is like the nicest guy ever. He's soft. He's a diva. He's thin-skinned. And can I start down the litany of epic fails that LeBron had that Jordan never had? Yeah, it took a while to break through against Larry Bird's Celtics. But remember that Michael Jordan had missed the whole year. He played 3 games and broke his foot. This is his second year in the league. And he comes back just for the playoffs and goes up against arguably the 86 Celtics were you could make a case they were the greatest team ever. And what does he do? He scores 49 in game 1, and in game 2, he scores 63. It took double overtime, but after that game, Larry Bird said that was God disguised as Michael Jordan. Well, trust me, Larry Bird would have never said God disguised as LeBron James, because look at the epic failures here. Do you remember 2010, the last go-around of the first stint in Cleveland? It's against the Celtics in the playoffs. It's the conference semifinals. They win big by 22. He's 14 of 22 from the floor. It's game 3. Then we get to 4, 5, and 6, and right on schedule, he just crumbles to the point that he had somebody from his inner circle tell Stephen A. Smith at ESPN, because I was there alongside Stephen A. at that point, that LeBron had to be sedated before games 4, 5, and 6 because he was having some locker room issue with a teammate, Delonte West. Listen, Michael Jordan never had any issues with locker room teammates because they wouldn't dare to have an issue with Michael Jordan. So the point was he had to be sedated. What a wimp! What a weenie! Is that what we're talking about? And then Dan Gilbert, his owner, a few weeks later, accused LeBron of quitting in those finals. And then do you remember the first go around with the Heat, the 2011 finals? Do you remember the chosen one became the frozen one? I've never seen like it. Michael Jordan never did that. Even when they were starting 1-9, people were scared to death.
Okay, so first off, you Bills fans in the comments that are roasting me, keep at it. I love it. I respect it. It's all in good fun. I don't think you're a trash fan base, but I just do, I'm not the biggest guy, never will be. Not the most good-looking guy, never will be. But keep it all in good fun. Don't get too personal here. But a lot to unravel here, just because I've wanted to talk about this for a while. Do I have Michael Jordan as my GOAT? Yeah. I think that facts, the film, statistically, I don't think there's anyone that was better at their peak than Michael Jordan. He won the scoring title 10 times. LeBron's won it once. 9-time first defensive all defensive first teams to LeBron's 5. He won a defensive player of the year. LeBron probably should have one, but he doesn't. He never won that. 5-time regular season MVP to 4 for LeBron. Again, Derrick Rose. We can get into that another day. But I'll sit here and say this. So he goes down the litany of LeBron's epic playoff failures. And I think that's the crux of his argument. And it's honestly the crux of my argument. The GOAT ship sailed for me, and I've been a long-time Heat fan. I love Dwayne Wade. Cannot believe, actually, I'm going to show you something pretty cool. Dwayne Wade was actually my favorite player. And in his final season with the Heat, I was able to actually go do a story for the UT Daily Beacon and get to talk to him and Josh Richardson on a story about Josh Richardson. And Tennessee basketball was number 1 at that point. They had a highly revered conditioning program. And I wanted to find out how that translated into a team like the Heat who have a high transition program. Condition program. Pardon me. Yeah, maybe did I do that just to be a little selfish and go interview my favorite NBA player? Yeah, but we'll get into that another day. But 2010, I give it to you. He crumbled in games 4, 5, and 6, and I think it is pretty weak to have even if it was true, to have someone tell Stephen A. Smith that, oh, yeah, he had to be sedated. That's why he was so bad in games 4, 5, and 6 after he had 38 points in game 3. Probably the best playoff game of his career outside of game 5 against the Pistons to that point. Just based on efficiency and impact and doing it in the Boston Garden. And they lost games 4, 5, and 6. And then Dan Gilbert, accuses him of quitting? I don't agree with that. 2011, those finals against the Dallas Mavericks is where the GOAT ship sailed for me. I'm a Heat fan. Of course, I was rooting for LeBron. I wanted him to be the GOAT. For the longest time, even after that series, I wanted him to be. But objectively, in my mind, it sailed because I've never seen a player who was clearing away physically in his prime. And maybe he wasn't as cerebral yet with the post game, with the jump shot, but he was clearing away the best player in the NBA. And then he's averaging 17 points in the finals, outscored by Jason Terry. At times he was getting dominated by JJ Barea. Like, come on. Outscored by Dwayne Wade was clearing away the best player in that series, man. I mean, you can argue Dirk, he's the finals MVP and his team won, but the GOAT ship for me personally sailed then because that was a failure of epic proportions. But Skip also goes on to point out, he crumbled in 2013. He came apart down the stretch. You can sit here and say, yeah, he had 2 unforced turnovers down the stretch, but he was the only reason the Heat were in that game. LeBron scored 16 in the fourth quarter of overtime. The Heat were down 10 going into that fourth quarter, and if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't even have been in that position for Ray Allen to hit that shot. So I don't agree with Skip there. I think it's just, of course, everyone has their own opinion. They look at things differently, but goes to 2015 and says, oh, yeah, the Cavs were up 2-1 in game 4. Yeah, they had the chance to put their foot on Golden State's throat, and LeBron wasn't that great in that game, but in games 1, 2, and 3, when he averaged basically 40, he did average 40 a game. He had been putting a below average team on his back after Kyrie went down with that when he cracked his kneecap in overtime of game 1. And then Skip also points out, if LeBron hadn't missed a game winner, it wouldn't have went to overtime. And people miss shots. It happens. I get it. I would have loved for him to hit that shot too, but it happens. 2017 and 18, Golden State had KD. What are you going to do? That's the greatest team ever assembled. And then, he points out stuff recently when LeBron's played better at 40 than MJ ever played at 40. I mean, he left after 34 when he was 34 and after the 1998 Last Dance season because, Jerry Krause and Jerry Reinsdorf ran his coach out of town. Well, they ran his coach out of town, but the coach also plotted behind the scenes because if you found out from that Last Dance, he was done as well, and MJ didn't know that, but he left on principle. And, back then things were a lot different than they were now. Players didn't essentially always look out for themselves, although MJ did get paid a lot per year, and he would sign one-year deals for $34 million, I believe, the last 2 to 3 years of his career in Chicago. But I always think it's funny because Skip does bring up good points, but I cannot put LeBron at 9 at my all-time list. He's 2 to me, and I think it's far. I got MJ at 1, LeBron at 2, I got Kareem at 3, Magic at 4, and then number 5 is a toss-up. You can put Larry Bird, you can put Bill Russell there. I've got Shaq in there. I've got Kobe in my top 10. I've got Tim Duncan there, obviously, and Hakeem. Those are my top 10. You can debate the order. I'm not really here to do that, but I just wanted to react for once to Skip's LeBron GOAT debate because I haven't really got a chance to react to that on the air. And, honestly, I don't agree with a lot of what he says. I think a lot of what he says is true, but I think he over-exaggerates some of the stuff, particularly with 2013. And then he goes into 2016. He says, yeah, Kyrie hit the shot. No one could hit a shot for a while, but LeBron James is the only player in NBA history to lead a final series in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. Of all players on the court, including unanimous MVP Steph Curry, who's not, if you scoff at Steph Curry, then I doubt your basketball acumen. But we're going to move on to the next topic and the final topic. And, Bills fans, I really do appreciate y'all tuning in. I really do, because I know you think us Ravens fans are stupid, and, it keeps the competition alive. I love it. You'll probably be one of the top 3 seeds, if not top 2 seeds in the AFC this year. Good for you. I don't wish for the Bills to fall, but going off historic records, when you sit there and trash the Ravens, we'll see what happens. Week 1 is a couple months away. But this dives into a little bit of my past. As many I am a University of Tennessee graduate. I graduated in 2020. I covered the team for 6 years as a reporter. And Josh Pate, one of the higher-ranking SEC reporters, went on Twitter today, it was actually yesterday, and explained why Tennessee is the toughest place to play in the NCAA. And I'm just going to sit here and show you what he said, and we're going to respond to it, and I'm going to get out of here because I owe my girlfriend actually at-home date night, and I'm actually late to it right now, so I'm kind of in trouble. So, call me a simp all you want, whatever. I'll gladly be that simp. We're going to get into this. I'm going to play it right now, and we're going to respond.
I got all the respect in the world for the folks at EA. To have Tennessee outside the top 10 of toughest places to play in college football is evidence of drug use. Not only is Tennessee top 10, Neyland Stadium's the toughest place to play in college football. Don't start with me. You can go argue with this wall over here. I've been there for the best of it. This right here is not footage that we ripped from a network. That is straight from the eye, Josh. I shot this myself. I've been there. I've been a part of it. Deafening. And also, there is the psychological factor of the fact that Rocky Top's the most annoying sound in the world to anyone who's not a Tennessee fan. So you practice with it all week, blaring on the loudspeakers, and everyone's drilling it into your head. You got to go beat Tennessee, or this is what you're going to hear. And it's great if you go beat them and shut them up. But if you don't, do you know what it's like to be trailing Tennessee? Tennessee takes the lead on you in the fourth quarter, and they're just blaring Rocky Top. You got 100,000+ people singing it at the top of their lungs. Psychologically, it does something to you because you convinced yourself all week, we ain't letting that happen. And then it starts to happen. I've never been in an avalanche before, but I imagine Tennessee taking the lead on you in the fourth quarter and Rocky Top blaring during one of the 9-minute commercial breaks you're going to take, depending on the network. That's what an avalanche of orange feels like. Bill Martin, avalanche of orange. Get the marketing ready. Get the promotion machine ready. So I not only do I have them top 10, not only do I have them top 5, I got Tennessee as the number 1 toughest place to play in college football.
Now, a lot to dive in there. I appreciate that he put Tennessee at 1. I don't think Ohio State's number 10. I think they're way higher than that. I think that's kind of off base. Below Clemson, really. But Is Tennessee the toughest place to play in the NCAA? You know, as much as the bias in me wants to say yes, I can't go the toughest because they haven't had championship level success since 1998. Even in the years when they were top 5 and whatnot, you know, in the BCS system, they didn't get to the mountaintop outside of 1998. They never won a championship with Peyton Manning, which a lot of people don't realize. It's among the toughest. I've been there. I moved here from Big Ten country, from NFL country in Dayton, Ohio, which is smack dab in the middle, 45 minutes from Columbus, 45 minutes from Cincinnati. And I never bought into the SEC. What is the SEC? It means more. What the hell does that mean? And then that's with my aunt and uncle being graduates at the University of Tennessee. We have always had Vol ties. Even on my dad's side of the family, we had Tennessee ties because who we call my daddy Papa taught at the University of Tennessee. And I never bought into the SEC hype until I moved down here and got a chance to experience it. What makes the SEC different? And you're going to say, Cory, what do you know about that? You Bills fans have already knocked me for being a Ravens fan. You know, fair enough. Like I just showed you, the plethora of my media career, which, yes, this is in a plastic bag, so I haven't had a chance to unpack it, was objectively covering University of Tennessee athletics and being on the sidelines and in the press box at Neyland Stadium, even when Tennessee was bad. And I'm telling you, it is different. Not to sound cliche, it is loud, it is passionate. Tennessee fans are some of the wildest fans in the country. And, you know, you Bills fans, you bring a sharp sword because you all are relentless and you support your team, which I am all for it. Tennessee fans, man, in college football, some of the stuff they can say to the rivals, man, it would cause a fight in a bar. I'm telling you that. Maybe 2 or 3, especially in an alley. What makes the SEC different is just the passion behind these fan bases. Because a lot of these towns, like Knoxville, for the longest time, they didn't have the Titans. They used to be the Orioles. I'm an Orioles fan. Pardon me. One of the worst teams in the MLB. The Oilers moved to Nashville from Houston. You know, they had the Titans, and the Titans have had a few good seasons, but, you know, they're nothing to write home about. Atlanta was 4 hours away, had the Falcons, had, you know, the Braves. A lot of people here are Braves fans because of that. But there was no pro sports team. I mean, Athens, Georgia, now with the Bulldogs, they've had more success than the Falcons. Gainesville with the Gators when they had their championship run. No, I can't get into that because they're not in the SEC. Auburn with Cam Newton, they didn't have no pro sports team around. Alabama, Tuscaloosa. What pro sports team is near Tuscaloosa? Nobody. My friend Paul Feinbaum would say that, and I actually have his cell phone number. I'm actually going to try to get him on the show sometime. Who knows? I'll probably have to get bigger. I've only got 1,000 subscribers now, but who knows? Maybe one time. Stay tuned for what could happen in the future. But it's just the passion behind the fan bases. Even Kentucky, Missouri, even Vanderbilt for some, you know, it pains me to say that, but is Tennessee the toughest place to play? No, but they're among them. And if they were to get back to championship prominence without Stinko Iamaleava, it's his name now, we'll see what happens. A lot of quarterbacks would want to play in the Heupel offense, but we'll see what happens. I'm not going to get into that. So I'm going to go through a few last comments right here. You know, I'm sure the Bills fans. Cody says Ohio State destroyed everyone. Yeah, they did. Unfortunately for Tennessee, they got the number 1 team at the 8 seed because they had an inexplicable loss to Michigan. We won't get into that. And XRT Outlaw says, Cory, do me a favor and say, fuck the New Orleans Saints on the Cory Sandy show for me. Fuck the New Orleans Saints because I wanted Peyton Manning and the Colts to win that 2009 Super Bowl, and they didn't. So there you go. Fuck the New Orleans Saints. But he also says the LeBron documentary would be so boring. The most exciting part will be his mom. Oh, I'm going to put that down. No, come on, man. You can't go that far. Come on, man. And I see some of you Bills fans. I give it. Thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you all giving me some banter to go back and forth with because it's fun to debate people who talk sports intelligently. And I'm not going to sit here and say you're dumb. But that's it for the Cory Sandy show tonight. I think I'm going to be in a lot of trouble after I get on this because I've taken 35 minutes too long. I'm supposed to be getting off and playing a true crime board game, and I'm about to go do that and finish this stogie. But Thank you all for tuning in. Even though y'all who do not like what I say, I do appreciate it. If you like the video, like it, comment on it, tell me I'm an idiot, subscribe, hit that bell button. And like you said, commenting and boosting the algorithm, regardless if you agree with my opinion or not, I do appreciate it. And we'll be back on Monday at 9 o'clock Eastern time to go at it again. So thank you for tuning in. I'm going to sign off for the night and get ready for church in the morning.